How's it going, everybody? Trevor Phillips here with Fulcrum Fitness, which is home to Another Level CrossFit. We are coming at you today with our first of a few series, which will be Technical Tuesday. And what we're going to be doing for these Tuesday sessions is we're going to be looking at the movements that we get asked about the most, whether it be in class or people coming up after class or emails or text, and how we feel a good way to either improve upon those movements or possibly get closer to achieving those movements. Ideally, you'd be able to do all of this in a class setting through progressive, continuous improvements or working on it. We know that's not the case for everyone. So our hope with this series is you guys can take some of this stuff and you can work on it from home, or whether it be before class or after class, or even when we have these movements in a class, you can be more mindful of it to eventually get you to the place that you want to be. The movement that we probably get asked the most about would be the toes to bar. So today that will be our primary focus. Seeing here, you can see a beautiful set of toes to bar, linking them together. I would love to say that you can just jump up there, and if you have any type of core or ab muscles, you can achieve the toes to bar. However, it takes a lot of prerequisites to eventually get to that final stage of those toes to bar. So we're going to break it down from the very beginning. We hope you guys enjoy it. Tag a friend and let us know if there's anything else you would like to see. So we are going to start with what we call our tier 1, and it all starts with that solid hollow rock and Superman position. You'll notice with these hollow rocks and hollow holds that we are engaging that spine. You can think about either sucking that belly button in. For me, what I personally think about is really actively engaging that core. So I'm imagining that somebody is going to come punch me in the stomach or even poke me in the belly button. And when I do that, I naturally brace that core. I'm gonna pull that spine nice and flat to that floor, and it allows me to just use those abdominal muscles, and I don't have to worry about any of that arching of the lower back. With that hollow hold, we're going to want to do a Tabata style. That's just one method of doing it. We're going to want to do 8 rounds of 20 seconds on, 10 seconds off. I recommend alternating between the hollow hold and the hollow rock. When we are doing those hollow rocks, what I like to think about is teeter-tottering on my tailbone. So when I get that rock motion right before my heels touch that ground, I contract those abs a little bit more, and that's going to be the break that stops me. I release that contraction just a little bit, throw my head back, and I'll get into that nice teeter-totter motion. After my Tabata of 8 rounds and 20 seconds on, 10 seconds off for the hollow hold, I'm going to flip around on my stomach, and I'm going to do the same concept, this time with a Superman. Big keys here with that Superman hold is making sure that those thighs are off of the ground and those arms are as high up as you can get. I struggle with that overhead mobility, so hopefully you guys can get it a little bit higher than me. But if you do notice, that chest is off of the ground, that sternum is off of the ground, my thighs are off of the ground, and I am just actively using those hamstrings and those scaps to keep that body in that Superman position. Same concept as that hollow rock and hollow hold. I'm going to do a Tabata here for 20 seconds on, 10 seconds off for 8 total rounds. I'll probably want to do that at least once a day if possible. If you can do it twice, even better. After we've felt comfortable with that hollow hold and Superman, we're going to move on to our scapula pull-ups. And the idea behind these is it's going to get us comfortable and used to being on that bar and progressing to that beat swing, which is that next movement. With these scap pull-ups, I'm going to start in that dead hang, so you see that my shoulders are holding all of that load. That's a great position to be to stretch out, but if we're trying to do anything active, definitely don't want to be there because we don't have any tension on those scaps and those shoulders. We don't want to tear anything in that rotator cuff. So what I'm going to do is actively thinking about bringing those scaps up and down. If you notice, I'm not shrugging up. I am getting in touch with those shoulder blades, and I'm really thinking about bringing them up towards the ceiling and then lowering them straight down. It took me a long time to get comfortable with these. So in the beginning, even if you only get just a little bit of movement, that's totally fine. You'll be amazed at how quick you're able to bring them up and lower them. For here, we'd love to see people start with 3 sets of 8 to 10. If 8 to 10 is too many, don't worry about it. Try to do 2 sets of 4 to 6. Any reps is better than not doing it all. So this is a great exercise that you can add to your daily warm-up or even your cool down. After we felt more comfortable with those scap pull-ups, we're gonna move on to the beat swings. As you can see with these beat swings, I'm not just in a dead hang swinging those feet. I jump up onto that bar. I engage by doing a scapula pull-up. My shoulder blades are nice and locked in, and then I'm just taking myself through that hollow Superman. Notice how I'm in that hollow body. I mimic that same position if I was on the floor. And then when I go to that Superman, I throw that head through, I let my heels come behind, and I'm mimicking that same position. That's ideally what we're looking for here, is a nice and tight body. So it's really just our shoulders that are keeping us in line, and then our core and our hamstrings are what's using us to rock back and forth. Okay, great, I'm on that bar. Those beat swings feel great. I understand the scap pull-ups. Shoulders feel nice and warm. My hollow and Superman are dialed in. What do I do now to get those toes up to the bar? Some of you might be able to actively just get them up just by working on that beat swing and getting the momentum needed. However, some of us still lack that core strength to even bring those toes or knees high enough to get that bar. So what we like to start with on tier 2 is our reverse crunches and our candlesticks. Notice how on those reverse crunches, I'm doing the same movement with that hollow rock where I am actively engaging that core. I'm pushing that belly button down through that spine. I am keeping my palms out to the side, my back is flat, and I am driving those knees up, almost thinking about leading with my heels. On the way back down, I actively drive those heels back down to the ground, and I'm really focused on contracting or squeezing my core with every rep. Sure, I could do these just by lifting my knees up, then it becomes more of a hip flexor exercise or more of a leg dominant. We want to really focus anytime we're doing these core movements to actively engage that core. Just like you hear it in my voice, I am engaging. That's what we're looking for. After we've done 3 sets of 10 there, I'm going to move on to the candlestick, just to work mostly on bringing those legs up and that hip drive towards the bar. Similar to that hollow hold and my reverse crunches, I engage that core, get that spine nice and flat. Keeping those toes pointed, I raise those legs up until my toes are in line with my nose. We don't want to see people reach back and kick that bar. We want to keep those toes in line with that nose, because as you're going to hear later on, that's one of our key points or our cues to getting those toes to bar. Once I can see that line of leading from my toes to my nose, I'm going to hip thrust up, control it down, and then lower my legs. So I like to think of this as a 4-part movement. Rise my legs up is 1, hip thrust up is 2, lower down is 3, and then lowering my legs down is the final of that movement. Similar with those reverse crunches, we're looking for 3 sets of 10, nice and controlled, and then we're ready to move on to those knee lifts. Once I felt comfortable with that core work and I can do those 3 sets of 10 each, and I don't feel totally thrashed, we're ready to jump back up on that bar and start working on those knee lifts. When I'm doing those knee lifts, I want to actively think about engaging that core and driving those knees up like I'm trying to slam through a brick. Too often we see people, they'll swing around and they'll just kind of pop their hips up, and again, it becomes more of a leg movement and they're not really thinking about using that core. We always want to get that mind-muscle connection. It's great that it may look a certain way, but if we're not actively using the correct muscles, we're not getting the desired stimulus and we're not going to get the desired result out of it either. On those knee lifts, we're looking for 3 sets of 8 to 10, just a standard. You guys can always go a little bit more, a little bit less, depending on your skill level or what you feel comfortable with. If possible, you'll see here that our rig sets us up and allows us for some short range toes to bar. If you have a gym that allows you to do that, it's a great alternative or a great modified option to get used to kicking that bar. So you'll see that that lower bar is about 3/4 up chin level. So you're able to set something like that up. We recommend doing that. It's a great drill to get used to kicking that bar without having to get that full flexion needed to get those toes to the bar. Once we feel totally comfortable with that tier 1 and that tier 2 work, we are ready for that tier 3, which is our toes to bar. A great place to start for people that are just trying to get 5 in a 1-minute period is just do singles. We would rather see people jump up, gather themselves, do a couple beat swings or kips to generate momentum, stab that toe to the bar, lower down and drop. And then that way you're at least getting those toes up to the bar, and you're also not developing the bad habits of just swinging around. A lot of times people will just continue to do the same movement over and over again. And when that happens, in essence, all you're doing is training your body to redo those movement patterns, which is great if we're doing the correct movement patterns, but we want to make sure that if it doesn't feel right, let's stop doing it, let's make an adjustment, let's get some good singles in, and then we can move on from there. Okay, we've done all the prerequisites. We feel good about our beat swings, we feel good about our knee lifts, we have the momentum down. I want to start linking them together. This is where a cue that I like to use that I feel really helps me, and it's a mantra I'll say the whole time. It's head, heels, nose, and toes. Head and heels, nose and toes. So what I'm doing with that, so when I say head and heels, I'm leading with my head by naturally doing that. My heels will fall behind me in that trailed Superman position, and then I'm going to rock back into that hollow position. I'll bring my nose up to the bar and allow my toes to follow. So I go head and heels, which will throw me back into that Superman position, reach back and nose to toes. And by doing that, it keeps me not only on rhythm, but it also forces me to look up to that bar and stab it, which for a lot of people is that last missing piece to get that last little half inch needed to get those toes all the way to the bar. Well, we hope you guys liked this little informational video. Again, tag a friend that you feel would gain some knowledge from this. Let us know in the comments below if there's anything else you would like us to work on. Go get those toes to bar.